It's week 4 Amiga April, and today I've chosen my favourite horizontal shoot 'em ups. There were some great shoot 'em ups on the Amiga back in the day, so let's take a look and see what I picked. Project X Special Edition, and this was released in 1993 and published by Team 17. Now the original Project X was released in 1992, but it was a very hard game to play. So in 1993 Team 17 decided to bring out a special edition, and what I mean by that is that you've got better weapon upgrades straight from start, the levels are slightly shorter, and there's less enemies in each level spawning. This is a great game, great graphics, and also got great music.
Select now for Klezmer. Approaching asteroid belt.
Saint Dragon. This was released in 1990 and it was published by Storm. Cyborg monsters have taken over the galaxy, reducing race after race into slavery. And these cyborgs were designed by man. But along comes a Saint Dragon, and his quest is to destroy them all and save humanity. This is a cracking arcade port to the Amiga title. Menace, released in 1988, and this was published by Psygnosis. 6 ruthless dictators are calibrated to create the planet Draconia, which contains some of the most gruesome and harmful life forms imaginable. And your quest now is to get into your spaceship and travel to the planet, and your goal is simple: you gotta destroy them all. This is an absolute classic early shoot 'em up for the Amiga. R-Type, released in 1989, and this was ported onto the Amiga by Factor 5 and it was published by Electric Dreams. This is an absolute arcade classic ported to the Amiga, and also on top of that, Chris Beck's intro is amazing. But the game itself involves you controlling an R9 spaceship, and you launches it for a last ditch effort to rebel against the evil Bido vampire. This is a classic arcade game and one of my favourites. Another classic arcade game now ported to the Amiga is Silkworm, and this was released in 1989 and published by Virgin Mastertronic. This is an absolute classic shoot 'em up, and it's got a little twist to it too, because in this one you can either play as an helicopter or as a jeep, and the two games are slightly different. But if you play as 2 players, you gotta protect each other. And also on top of that, if you want weapon upgrades, you kill so many of the enemy, then you'll be presented with a goose helicopter, and you gotta destroy it to get the weapon upgrade. This is an absolute cracking arcade port to Amiga title.
First, there was Menace. Now, Psygnosis presents a DMA design game.
There's a whole lot more coming.
Blood Money, released in 1989, and this was developed by DMA Design, the people behind Lemons and Menace, and it was published by Psygnosis. This is an absolute classic shoot 'em up on the Amiga, and you've got 4 worlds to conquer. Each world's got a different vehicle, and your goal is simple. Kill as much of the enemy as you can and collect the coins, because during missions you'll have shops halfway through the level, and you can upgrade your weapons and so on. This is an absolute great game on the Amiga. Apidya, released in 1992 and published by Blue Byte, and it was developed by Kaiko. And what a game this is! The soundtrack alone by Chris Ubeck is worth playing this one, and the introduction as well. And that's why I'm not telling anything about the story behind this one. It's a cracking shoot 'em up, and it's not every day you play as a wasp. And I got a fun fact for you as well. Even though it looks manga, Japanese inspired, this game was actually developed in Germany. X-Out, released in 1990, and this was published and developed by Rainbow Arts. Chris Ubeck does music once again in this one, and it is absolutely epic. The game itself has got a great introduction. You can completely customize your ships from the start, and on top of that as well, it's all based underwater, which was unusual for its time. And I will give you fair warning as well, this game is not easy, but very rewarding. One shot off the enemy and that's it, it's game over. Agony, released in 1992, and this was developed by Art and Magic and published by Psygnosis. As the story goes, you play as a magician's apprentice. You have been turned into an owl to give you the best chance of destroying the many dark creatures you will face, thus discovering the secret cosmic strength. This is an absolute beautiful game for its time and still is, and the music is epic too. If you haven't played it, you really need to try this one out. I didn't play this one back in the day because it was quite rare, but God, I do enjoy playing it now. What a game. And the last game I want to show you is R-Type 2, and this was released in 1991 and published by Activision. Yep, this is my favourite game of all time on the Amiga, because this is the one I grew up with and played the most, and Apidya too. This is a great game, very difficult on the Amiga version though. I recently played the arcade equivalent and I found that easier, but that aside, it's got great graphics, great music, and I love the intro with the ship flying out into space. Thank you all for watching. I left a link in the description, so you can go over to Amiga April and take a look.